I remember I was looking at him and I was like, how am I going to tell my daughter that he's gone? And that's when I just start praying.
May 19th, 2022. Standing in her driveway, Olga heard a loud crash just moments after her son-in-law Nikita left her home. She ran to the scene, overwhelmed by what she saw.
I remember I have this voice inside of me saying, Nikita is no longer with us. I kind of took him by his neck and I started looking for a pulse. I couldn't find anything. I knew that there was no pulse and there is no life.
Olga called her church prayer chain and then 911. Time ticked by with no signs of life.
I just start praying. I speak life. I speak life. Life come back to Nikita. Because I know God can do miracles. It's nothing impossible for the Lord.
Then, after several minutes, the miraculous.
He brought him back. He started breathing and I start yelling, he's breathing, he's breathing. And they said, okay, don't touch him. Don't touch him. The help is on its way.
EMS soon began cutting Nikita from the wreckage. He suffered a host of life-threatening injuries, including a fractured C1 vertebrae, collapsed lung, torn spleen, and traumatic brain injury. After several hours, his wife Ilona, who was near full term with her second child, remembers seeing him in the ICU.
It was really hard. I began bawling my eyes out and I came and I just held his hand, and at that moment he did look very lifeless. It felt like there was not much life left because he had breathing tubes and so many wires were connected to him.
Prayers were offered up around the world. Family in Russia, Ukraine, and across the U.S. were praying for Nikita's survival and healing.
We knew that we had to lean into him. He was the only one that could carry us through it all. Honestly, all we could do was pray and believe that God was going to do his work in this, that he was going to bring a miracle to our lives.
Ilona spent the first night wrestling with her thoughts and struggling to believe that God would heal her husband.
Your husband's not going to live. You're not going to see him tomorrow when you wake up. You're going to have to plan his funeral. And all these thoughts kept flooding my mind. And then I just hear the Lord's voice saying, your husband will not die. Do not fear. Do not fear. And I knew that right then and there that God's spirit was much stronger than the enemy's voice.
Due to the extent of Nikita's brain injury, doctors said he would require more than 6 months in low-light conditions and extensive time in rehab. However, over the next few days, Nikita began showing signs of recovery that went beyond anyone's expectations.
They're like, we don't know how, but the swelling in his left frontal lobe actually went down, and they were all just amazed to see how well Nikita was doing and how he was even responding already on day 3. After that really began the journey of faith and believing God for the more, believing God that he was gonna completely restore my husband and fully heal him.
Just under 2 weeks after the accident, Ilona gave birth to their second child. Nikita's healing progressed so well that he was wheeled down to the delivery room to welcome his newborn son into the world.
He just kept smiling the whole time, and he took Ezra and he just kept saying, Ezra, 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 and the whole time he just kept repeating his name.
Miraculously, just 2 weeks after the accident, Nikita was discharged from the hospital and spent only 1 week in rehab before returning home, thankful.
Recovery it's a gift from the Lord if you can recover. My spine was cracked and I didn't get paralyzed, I had a deflated lung and I'm still breathing. I had a torn spleen and they didn't have to cut my spleen out. So I'm thankful that he allowed me to live. I'm thankful that I can see my kids, that I can hold my newborn. It's a testimony. And God can say, that's my kid and that's what I did for him. And this is how great I am, because I can raise, he was dead, I can bring him back to life. He had a traumatic brain injury, I can heal it. He had a crack in his spinal cord, boom, healed.
Just to see how our prayers came to life and God did this for us, it was the biggest blessing we could ever have walked through. And that just gave us so much hope that He's our peace, He's our comforter, He's our joy, and He's the only one that will get us through this.
Adding miracle upon miracle. Shortly after the car crash that nearly took his life, Nikita began long-distance running. In November of 2023, just a year and a half after the accident, he completed his first marathon, an expression of praise and thanks to God, who gave him back his life and health.
I owe it to Him. Everything I have, I owe it to Him. I wasn't walking, and now I'm running a marathon. Tell me something that, it's unreal. Unreal.
Come what may, my faith will stand because it's in Jesus. And I saw how the Lord took us from the darkest season of our lives every single day. He didn't leave us, He was near to us. In our weakest moment, He was still there, you know? Even in the darkest season of our lives, God was still faithful. He was still merciful to us.